Let us now see bigger picture of JavaScript runtime environment. So in detail, we will understand behind the scene how this environment will be working. So first of all, what is JavaScript runtime environment? I have opened Chrome browser and there I have just opened console. Inside this, I will write console.log and here I will write hello. As soon as I hit enter, I am able to execute my JavaScript code. So this is the runtime environment for JavaScript where we are able to execute our JavaScript code. And why we are able to execute? Because in each and every browser, we will have JavaScript engine using which we can execute our JavaScript code. So here we have created environment for JavaScript where we can execute the code. So this is the JavaScript runtime environment. Here we are able to execute JavaScript code. Now I have opened command prompt and this is completely independent of browser. So same code I will try to execute inside this command prompt. Here I will have this error. Console.log is not recognized as an internal or external command. But now I will be using Node and Node is nothing but it is a JavaScript runtime environment. As soon as I hit enter, now I have created separate environment. Now inside this I can write the same code console.log and here I will write hello. As soon as I hit enter, I am having the same result. So using Node, what we are doing, we are creating JavaScript runtime environment where we are able to execute our JavaScript code. So we have seen two runtime environment. First is inside the browser and second using Node we are able to run JavaScript outside the browser. So that is the reason inside this command prompt I am able to execute this code. So this is the basic example of runtime environment. Now first we are going to see runtime in the browser. So you can tell runtime is like a big container which will be including all the things which we need in order to use our JavaScript. So here first inside runtime we are going to have JavaScript engine. As I have mentioned, while executing the code inside the browser, why we are able to execute? Because inside the browser we are having JavaScript engine. So this runtime is nothing but it is a container which will be including all the things which we need to use our JavaScript. So inside runtime, we will have JavaScript engine. Without JavaScript engine, we do not have any runtime as well as we do not have JavaScript itself. And in our previous lecture, in complete detail, we have understood how our code is converted into machine code and how it is executed in JavaScript engine. So now inside this runtime, we have JavaScript engine inside which we are having call stack and heap. And call stack is the one where our code will be executed. But engine alone is not enough. In order to work properly in JavaScript, we should be having access to more things. So inside runtime, we will have access to web APIs and they will be providing functionality to the engine which is accessible on window object. Inside this, we can have DOM API, timers, fetch API, console.log, whatever we are using. So these are the APIs which are provided by browser. And this is also one of the component which is present inside runtime. And as I mentioned, runtime is nothing but a container which will be having all the components which is required to execute our JavaScript code. And these web APIs are not part of JavaScript because they are implemented by browser. So using this window object, JavaScript will be getting access to these APIs and easily we can use in a program. Next thing which we are having inside the runtime is the callback queue. And this is the data structure which will be containing all the callback functions which are ready to be executed. For example, callback functions from DOM event handler, and all these event handler functions will be called as callback functions. So as soon as event happens, what happens? This callback function will be put inside the callback queue. After that, once our call stack is empty, this callback function will be passed inside the call stack so that this event can be executed. And this happens by something called as event loop. So what this event loop will be doing? This is going to take all the callback functions from the callback queue, and then it is going to put on the call stack so that they can be executed. Because of this event loop, non-blocking concurrency model is implemented in JavaScript. This is the high-level overview of what are the components available inside the runtime environment and how this will be working. So to run our JavaScript code, browser not only needs this JavaScript engine, instead it requires JavaScript runtime. Now coming to runtime in Node.js. So again, this runtime is a container where we will be having all the necessary components which is required to run our JavaScript code. But we have already seen using Node.js, we can run JavaScript outside the browser. So browser is not involved. So in this, we will not be having access to web APIs. Instead, we will be having some C++ bindings and thread pools. And all these topics we are going to understand. But remember, inside Node.js runtime, we will not have access to web APIs. Instead, we are going to have C++ binding and thread pools. So now you understood runtime is nothing but it is like a toolbox, and it will be providing all the necessary things that our program needs while it's running. Like it will be providing environment, it will be providing memory, and also it will be providing the instructions on how to handle these tasks. Now you might have question, if we are not having any web APIs, if we are not having access to browser, then how our JavaScript code is executed? And this is where our V8 engine will be coming into play, and this is where our JavaScript code will be passed and it will be running in Node.js, because Node.js was created by embedding V8 engine into C++ program. So easily we have access to V8 engine. So that is the reason we are able to execute JavaScript outside the browser. If you want more details on JavaScript engine, then you have to visit the previous video, because there we have understood how our code will be converted into machine code and how this JS engine will be working. So now Node.js is nothing but it is a JavaScript runtime which is built on Google's open source V8 JavaScript engine. So before, JavaScript was only used inside the browser, but now with the help of Node.js, we can use JavaScript outside the browser. And how we are able to execute the code? With the help of Node.js, we are able to execute JavaScript code outside the browser.